It's like, this is the clearest, like, fixed fight you're ever gonna see. But look at this guy holding his hands up and watch. Watch this. He, like, literally shows him his chin, like, and he goes down. It's so fake. Look at, I mean, he's got nothing. It's like a guy who just learned boxing yesterday.
World title in everyone's imagination. That's the heavyweight champ. You were here. Everyone else was here. But since then, the feeling has been Joshua makes all this money fighting anyway, 30 million pounds, whatever it is. Why should he take 40 or 50 to fight Wilder when he's making against anybody? He can make 30, 40 million pounds, whatever it is.
No fantasy contract, just reality. You know, bringing our work to the table and bargaining and negotiating what we're worth and making this fight.
This culminates in a heavyweight legacy gazing at a crater, a career burnt, and litigation mentioned. I'm ripping us backward now, because you miss the moment if you blink. The end result is greater than a knockout, more than money, and greater than pride. Therefore, you need to watch how it all spiraled from a quiet room to a public implosion. It concerns if everything you watch is truly authentic now. And no, this is not genuine. However, it is, and that's the issue.
That's why Jake Paul is so relevant, because he's found a way to bypass promoters and make money in the boxing rings instead of being a prisoner to the promoters. Even though he didn't fight anybody, he's about to fight Anthony Joshua, and we'll see what happens with that. Anthony Joshua should knock him into tomorrow because he's the bigger fighter with incredible power, but he's got a glass jaw. So if Jake Paul catches him, who knows?
The narrative didn't sound like the typical background noise when it first appeared. This wasn't trash talk, as I'm telling you today. It wasn't hype. This was the cracking of a door, and there was a suggestion, leverage, and influence behind it. It's so poisonous that it could destroy the entire division, because it's not noise when Anthony Joshua delivers a phrase that sounds casual yet lands like a brick while speaking without theatrics. It's a warning shot. You also sensed it. Your gut tensed before your head did, so don't lie.
Fighting's not just physical, it's psychological. And when you understand the psychological warfare, I did say to you that, Jake, what's gonna happen? I'm gonna see a time when I'm gonna take your soul and you're either gonna give up or you're gonna get knocked out. And unless you have that instinct, you just will never be a good fighter. So I wish that I could have knocked him out at the start. But as we saw tonight, Jake has spirit.
This is where it twists, because it didn't shout when it first surfaced. It crept. In an environment where masks fall off, it slithered out. And I'm afraid of that, because this person wasn't looking for attention. This heavyweight king explained why some bouts feel wrong, why some doors never open, and why money always seems to be more important than morality. And let me know if you hear that not getting any closer.
There's people out there that are going, Jake deserves credit, this is amazing, he's gone 6 rounds with Anthony Joshua. He hasn't gone 6 rounds with Anthony Joshua, he spent 5 rounds on his bloody bike, and the other diving for cover. Come on, let's get real about what happened last night. The dude basically used the greedy to hoodwink the stupid. Fair play to the kid, man. He made 50 million plus. I mean, someone's just sent me a message saying that they did 90 million. Respect. There's people out there saying, oh, he kept getting dropped multiple times and getting up. No, he didn't. Stop lying.
Do you want the surprise? All right. Power now believes it can negotiate results, which is shocking. It is possible to erase, redraw, and pencil that heritage. And something cracks because battling isn't content when that notion even comes into contact with a fighter formed on approved suffering and earned wounds. And you invite turmoil the moment you start treating it like content. Yes, I am saying that. Joshua may be handled like a brand, according to someone.
AJ, do you think Jake is on your level whatsoever?
No. No.
No, okay.
Respectfully. Because it's clear. If I say yes, I'm gonna be lying to myself, and I can't lie to myself. It's not that he can't compete,
right,
but when you talk about, for example, music, how many albums I've put out, how many mixtapes I've put out,
yeah,
he just hasn't got the body of work I've got in boxing.
Got you.
Excuses, misunderstandings, misinterpreted jokes, and strategy discussions are already audible to me. However, pay attention to the tone, pay attention to the constraint, because the tell is the stillness. Furthermore, it speaks louder than any charge when a man declines the circus and just sets a limit. This is the part that no one wants to say out loud. Who else heard this if it was presented here? Did anyone else nod? Who else didn't say anything, since quiet does not equate to innocence?
Or Jake would have moved around the ring at 100 miles an hour. There's two things I would have done. Tried to shut Jake down at 100 miles an hour, or I would have gone on the back foot. So Jake decided to move around the ring, and I decided to put the pressure on. What I could have done better is a lot of things, 100%. In the fight game, you've seen the amazing fighters that have graced us over the last 100 years, and the expectations that we put on ourselves are.
The sport thrives on the notion that anything may happen once the bell rings, which is where the psychological knife twists. Furthermore, poisoning that mindset devalues years rather than simply one night. Additionally, any fan who has ever yelled is unconsciously affected. That nagging uncertainty, that murmur inquiring as to whether the dice were loaded prior to the gloves making contact.
Suing Anthony Joshua. And the reason has everybody side-eyeing this whole situation. From what's being said, Jake is claiming Anthony Joshua went off script. And when I say off script, I mean there was supposedly a no knockout clause, or at least very specific fight rules, and Joshua hitting Jake so hard that his jaw got dislocated in 2 places was not part of that agreement. Jake basically saying that punch crossed the line from just boxing into what he's calling malicious intent. Now,
according to Jake Paul, the quiet, and don't misunderstand, this has nothing to do with disliking crossover money. It has to do with control. It has to do with narrative ownership. It has to do with someone believing they can control violence like a storyboard. And when a fighter who gained leverage through hard work rejects that notion, it makes headlines. Indeed, some were alarmed by that rejection, as it implies that not everyone is for sale.
Jake Paul gets knocked out predictably by Anthony Joshua in tonight's fight. Now, I am torn on this fight. When it first started and Joshua was giving it, I'm thinking, oh, here we go again. It's the Tyson fight again. We're talking about two fighters who are pretending. It looked like a rocky fight at the start. Joshua was afraid to let go. He was just like tapping. Let Jake get a few punches and everything. And then I'm thinking, hang on, I'm torn between two ways.
Other fighters and experts indirectly contributed as the conversation grew. This is the bit that makes my skin crawl, so please stop with me for a moment. There was no denial in the aftermath. Fog was present. Additionally, speculation thrives in fog, where videos are rebroadcast, where fans make connections that promoters hope remain disconnected. And I'm telling you now that there's more underneath this that hasn't been mentioned, since doing so would light a fuse that no one can put out.
Messy. If Jake is really saying this fight was supposed to follow a script, then what does that say about the event, the Vegas crowd, the betting money, all of that? Because that opens up a whole different conversation nobody wants to touch. He's allegedly claiming Anthony Joshua could be on the hook for something like $20 million for violating the rules and going beyond what was agreed upon. But let's be real for a second. This is boxing. People get hit. Jaws get broken. That's literally the risk you take stepping into the ring.
Do you believe that the reaction split happened at random? No, it was tribal. Because one side demands that the sport be sacrosanct, while the other demands that the show be clean. And initially, there isn't much of a fallout when those worlds converge. Whispers, that is. It is a cautious assertion. You can learn everything you need to know by watching individuals choose words as if they were walking through glass.
Have a section where the two parties are going to meet, talk, discuss, have this. Just watch this video.
And mentally.
It's already written.
Where?
In the history books, brother.
In yours, not mine.
No, it is. You'll see. There's only one God, and God wrote it.
You see with Jake, what I learned about Jake is that he's a mental person. This is my observation. Not only the physical aspects of training, but the way he thinks, meditation, breath work. If I can break his soul, and I can break his mentality.
You're not prepared for this time bomb, because every punch is questioned once the concept of a script enters the veins. Every sluggish round causes side-eye. Every strategic pause seems ominous, and like detectives, I see people rewatching bouts. Furthermore, that is not amusement. That's distrust. Furthermore, suspicion spreads more quickly than any advertisement could. Did he have Jake Paul with him?
Was he carrying Jake Paul? Was he carrying Jake Paul because of the script with the mentality of knocking him out before time? Or was Joshua not wanting to potentially hurt this guy? Like, hurt him. Like, he was throwing single punches, sometimes the odd 1 or 2s. You know what I mean? The first 4 rounds, you're talking like 8 punches to 5 punches. And he was like, I was thinking now, there's some sort of script in the
Beyond boxing circles, there were repercussions. I can't stop thinking about what was left out regarding Joshua's lack of stance, grandstanding, and milkiness. And since guys who are after power don't behave in that manner, the connotation is made heavier by that limitation. Men guard boundaries they refuse to cross. Additionally, it's okay if you're uncomfortable right now, since this material feeds on comfort.
The Jake Paul fight script just got leaked and the details are absolutely insane. This script goes back to the initial promotion where he was supposed to fight a super underweight Gervonta Davis. But we now learn this fight was never supposed to happen. The plan was always to fight Anthony Joshua, but they started with the villain arc by positioning him against someone 70 pounds lighter. So when he goes to fight someone heavier instead, he looks like a hero underdog instead of the initial side. But that's just the beginning. The script for the actual fight is set up for it to go the distance and Paul to be awarded the win by decision. As a result,
this episode also underscored the power imbalance.
The power disparity was further highlighted by this episode. Allow me to share one more unsettling thought. Imagine the strain on combatants without platforms, leverage, or escape routes if this were casually brought up to a worldwide celebrity. Imagine the nods, the silent agreements, and the ambiguous contracts, and then tell me with a straight face that none of that is true. You're lying to yourself if you do. Yes, I do hear the threats, the numbers, and the legal buzz. However, boxing has always been risky. Jaws snap, bodies shatter. That's the deal. And when that risk is reframed as a breach of a plan, the sport recoils because the ring is now a liability rather than a testing ground. And that change is horrifying. One more pause. Take a breath, as this isn't finished, not even close. The networks are keeping an eye on things. Sponsors are recalculating. The youthful combatants are making notes. The elderly are also curious about the number of times they were tested without their knowledge. And elsewhere, someone is perspiring because they are unsure of how to cross a publicly designated barrier. Because there are too many gaps, too many cautious phrases, and too many individuals acting as though this is usual when it's not, I will purposefully leave you uneasy. Additionally, you're not paying attention if you believe the story is over, because there won't be a warning before the following revelation. It will plummet abruptly. Messy. When that happens, boxing may no longer recognize itself. Every